You need to stop spending your old pennies right now, because one tiny Lincoln wheat penny hiding in your house could secretly be worth more than a luxury car. Most people ignore these coins because they look old, dirty, and ordinary, but collectors are fighting over them in private auctions for shocking amounts of money. And the scariest part? The rarest coin in today's video gets overlooked every single day. Check your pockets, your jars, and your drawers, because this hidden treasure could change everything. Coin number 1. The terrifying thing about this next coin is that thousands of people have probably seen one and spent it anyway. No hesitation, no second look. Just dropped into circulation like ordinary pocket change. But the 1957D wheat penny, with strange sky blue dots on the front side and strong, fine-condition details, has become one of those hidden treasures that quietly shocks collectors the moment it appears. And when the right example surfaces with original untouched aging, the market can explode toward values around $237,000. That is not normal money. That is life-changing money hiding on a 1-cent coin. And the craziest part, most people would never recognize it. Stay with me, because this detail changes everything. The year 1957 sat at the edge of a massive transition in American coin history. The country was booming after the post-war industrial explosion. Cars filled the highways. Factories were roaring. Consumer spending was climbing fast. America looked powerful on the outside, but inside the US, mint coin production pressure was intense. Billions of coins were being pushed into circulation to keep up with the expanding economy. Machines ran constantly. Dies wore down aggressively. Mint workers focused on speed and volume. And hidden inside all that pressure were tiny variations, unusual surfaces, and rare survivors collectors would later obsess over. The Denver Mint, marked by the small D beneath the date, produced enormous numbers of wheat pennies in 1957. At first glance, that sounds common. But collector obsession never focuses only on quantity. It focuses on survival, originality, and unique visual character. And this coin has exactly that. The sky blue dots appearing across the obverse, the front side, are what stop experienced collectors in their tracks. Now listen carefully, because most people misunderstand these colors completely. Copper coins age like fingerprints. No two-tone exactly the same way. Over decades, storage conditions, humidity, temperature shifts, paper exposure, old coin albums, and chemical reactions inside the metal itself can create dramatic color patterns. Sometimes deep reds appear. Sometimes dark chocolate shades develop. But when unusual blue spotting forms naturally across the front of a wheat penny and remains untouched, collectors become extremely interested. Because originality creates value. This is not fiction. The coin market today is filled with cleaned, polished, and artificially brightened coins that serious buyers avoid instantly. But naturally aged surfaces with unusual color combinations tell a story that cannot be duplicated overnight. Those tiny sky blue dots become evidence of decades of untouched survival. And when combined with strong detail and authentic surfaces, the coin transforms from ordinary pocket change into silent fortune. Now picture this penny in your hand. Small, lightweight, easy to ignore. But physically, this coin carries history inside every millimeter. The 1957D wheat penny is composed of 95% copper with small amounts of tin and zinc mixed into the alloy. That heavy copper content is exactly why wheat pennies develop such fascinating surface colors over time. The coin weighs approximately 3.11 grams. The diameter measures about 19 millimeters. Thickness is roughly 1.5 millimeters, and the smooth edge gives it that classic old cent feel collectors instantly recognize. But what makes survival so difficult is the sheer amount of circulation these coins endured. Think about how many hands touched this penny over nearly 70 years. Grocery stores, gas stations, school cafeterias, soda machines, factory payrolls, bank drawers, old denim pockets, kitchen jars. Most examples became heavily worn, damaged, cleaned, bent, or lost forever. Very few survived with attractive original surfaces and unusual coloration that still grabs attention today. That's why collectors become emotional about coins like this. And the design itself feeds that obsession. On the front of the coin, Abraham Lincoln faces right beneath the words, "In God we trust." To the left appears Liberty. Below rests the date 1957 with the small D mint mark beneath it, identifying the Denver Mint. Serious collectors study every tiny part of this portrait. The texture of Lincoln's hair, the sharpness of the coat lines, the condition of the cheek and jaw. Even the placement and intensity of the sky blue dots can influence collector excitement if the surfaces appear natural. Because tiny details matter enormously. Most people miss this. The reverse side carries the famous wheat design that defined American pennies for generations. Two wheat stalks curve upward along the edges surrounding 1 cent and United States of America. Above that sits E pluribus unum. This design feels deeply nostalgic to collectors because it connects directly to old American life. Diners, paper routes, drive-in theaters, old wooden cash registers, wartime parents saving spare change, and forgotten jars hidden in closets for decades. Collectors are not simply buying metal. They are buying emotion. They are buying memory. They are buying a piece of vanished America. And when a visually unusual coin appears, with natural sky blue spotting and honest wear, competition becomes fierce. The auction world surrounding rare wheat pennies is strangely intense. Sometimes bidding starts quietly. Experienced buyers remain patient. They analyze photos carefully under magnification. They inspect whether the blue dots appear genuine or artificially added. They examine the surface texture around Lincoln's portrait. Then suddenly, everything changes. The bidding jumps hard, because multiple collectors realize they are staring at the same thing. A rare survivor with original character that cannot easily be replaced. And that's where the market value becomes shocking. $237,000 for the right example. A penny, 1 cent. Hidden wealth, sitting unnoticed in ordinary circulation for decades. This is why people have become obsessed with checking old coin jars. This is why estate sales attract collectors before sunrise. This is why some people search through bankrolls for hours every night, hoping to discover a forgotten wheat penny nobody else recognized. Because these coins change everything financially. And here's something extremely important. Do not clean this coin. Never. Not with water. Not with cloth. Not with chemicals. Nothing destroys collector value faster than cleaning old copper. The moment someone polishes the surface, tiny scratches called hairlines appear instantly under magnification. Original toning disappears forever. Natural aging vanishes. Collector trust collapses. Some people accidentally erase enormous amounts of money because they think shiny means valuable. For serious collectors, originality matters more than brightness. Professional grading is also critical for coins like this. Authentication protects both the buyer and the seller. Grading companies study the coin under powerful magnification, verify whether the surfaces are original, assign a condition grade, and seal the coin inside a protective holder. Without certification, high-end buyers often hesitate because altered coins can fool inexperienced people. And fine condition examples with strong original surfaces are becoming increasingly difficult to find. That's the scary part. Collectors are holding on to them, not selling. Supply keeps shrinking while demand keeps climbing. Every year, more people enter the coin market after hearing unbelievable auction stories. Meanwhile, the best wheat pennies disappear into private collections, vaults, and long-term holdings where they may remain hidden for decades. Patience creates wealth here. The smartest collectors move carefully. They study tiny details. They wait for authentic coins instead of rushing into cleaned examples. And when they finally discover a wheat penny with unusual natural color and honest, untouched surfaces, they protect it fiercely. Because hidden fortunes rarely look obvious. So if you ever find a 1957D wheat penny, especially one with strange sky blue dots across the front side, stop immediately before spending it. Check the mint mark carefully. Study the surfaces under soft lighting. Look for natural color transitions. Examine whether the wear appears honest and untouched. And if the coin feels strangely beautiful despite its age, trust your instincts. You could be holding serious money. You could be holding a silent fortune people overlook every day. And the truly frightening part is this. The next wheat penny collectors are chasing makes this one look almost ordinary. Next up, the 1956D Lincoln wheat penny is one of the most dangerously overlooked coins hiding in America right now because people see the date, shrug their shoulders, and spend it without hesitation. That mistake has quietly destroyed small fortunes for years. And the scary part is this coin does not need crazy errors or dramatic damage to become valuable. Even normal-looking examples in very good condition have triggered intense collector attention when the surfaces, color, and strike characteristics line up correctly. Most people never even look twice at these pennies. Collectors absolutely do. This is hidden treasure sitting unnoticed inside old jars, dusty drawers, inherited coin boxes, and forgotten piggy banks across the country. What makes the 1956D penny so fascinating is the exact moment in American history when it was created. The United States was deep inside the booming post-war era. Families were growing fast. Businesses were exploding. Highways were expanding. And Americans were spending coins constantly in everyday life. The economy was moving aggressively, which meant the U.S. Mint faced enormous pressure to produce massive amounts of coinage quickly. Denver worked relentlessly to keep up with demand, and that non-stop production created subtle inconsistencies collectors study obsessively today. This is where ordinary pocket change slowly transformed into silent fortune without the public even realizing it. The D mint mark beneath the date is the center of the obsession. That tiny letter tells collectors the coin was struck at the Denver Mint, a facility known during the 1950s for high-volume production and dies that experience tremendous stress over time. Most people see a tiny D and ignore it completely, but advanced collectors immediately focus on strike sharpness, die fatigue, surface texture, and original color preservation. Some 1956D pennies developed unusual appearances from overworked dies and heavy circulation patterns, creating specific combinations that serious buyers aggressively hunt for today. Tiny details become everything in this market, and here's where things start getting emotional. Very good condition sounds low to beginners, but collectors understand something most people don't. Survival matters more than perfection sometimes. These coins circulated heavily during one of America's busiest economic periods. They passed through grocery stores, gas stations, diners, factories, and vending machines for decades. People treated them roughly because nobody imagined they could someday become important collectibles. So when a naturally aged 1956D penny survives with strong, identifiable details, authentic surfaces, and untouched character, collectors feel connected to it emotionally. They are not just buying copper, they are buying preserved American history. The physical feel of this penny adds to that strange emotional power collectors describe all the time. The coin weighs approximately 3.11 grams and carries the classic bronze alloy made from 95% copper mixed with tin and zinc. Its diameter measures around 19 millimeters, with a thickness near 1.5 millimeters. The girth feels small and ordinary inside your palm, which is exactly what makes this story so unbelievable. A coin that tiny can quietly carry serious money potential while millions of people ignore it every single day. That contradiction fuels collector obsession more than almost anything else. Now take a close look at the obverse side. Abraham Lincoln faces right with a calm but worn expression shaped by decades of circulation. The phrase, "In God we trust," stretches across the top edge, while "Liberty" sits beside Lincoln's profile. The date, 1956, appears clearly near the lower right side, and directly beneath it sits that tiny Denver mint mark. But collectors don't stop at reading the date. They study Lincoln's cheekbone definition, jawline sharpness, hair separation, rim strength, and the spacing around the lettering. This detail changes everything because tiny surface differences can dramatically affect demand. Then you flip the coin over and see the legendary reverse design that gave the wheat penny its iconic identity. Two wheat stalks rise along each side, framing the words 1 cent and United States of America. Above those words appears E pluribus unum. In very good condition, many of the wheat lines become faded from decades of handling, but surviving examples with stronger outlines and natural surfaces instantly attract more collector interest, especially if the coin carries dark antique toning untouched by cleaning. Originality matters more than people realize. And once originality disappears, value can collapse permanently. That's why cleaning this coin is one of the worst mistakes possible. Never clean this penny, never polish it, never dip it into chemicals, or scrub the surfaces trying to make it shiny. Collectors hate artificial brightness on old copper coins because it destroys historical texture and authenticity. A naturally aged surface tells a story no modern cleaning can recreate. Professional graders can usually detect cleaning within seconds because cleaned coins lose their original microscopic surface flow. Even worse, hairline scratches from wiping can permanently damage collector appeal. One careless decision can erase enormous potential value forever. What really drives the market crazy with 1956D wheat pennies is the combination of nostalgia and scarcity. Millions existed originally, but truly desirable surviving examples are becoming harder to locate every year. Many were melted, damaged, corroded, cleaned improperly, or lost entirely. Others remain hidden inside collections where owners refuse to sell because they believe future prices will rise even higher. That shrinking availability creates tension inside auctions. Some buyers stay silent for months, waiting patiently, then suddenly attack bidding wars aggressively when the right coin appears. This is not normal pocket change behavior anymore. This is hidden wealth psychology, and auction rooms become extremely intense around coins like this. Quiet collectors who rarely speak suddenly compete emotionally once a strong original 1956D enters the market. Why? Because experienced buyers know opportunity windows are shrinking. They understand that attractive surviving examples with natural wear and authentic surfaces are disappearing slowly into permanent collections. Some collectors buy these coins not for immediate profit, but because they fear never finding another comparable piece later. That fear creates aggressive demand. Most people watching from outside the hobby never understand how emotional the collector world becomes over tiny details invisible to ordinary eyes. One of the biggest reasons collectors fixate on this coin is because the 1950S represented a major transition period in American coin circulation. Pennies were heavily used during daily commerce, especially before rising inflation changed spending habits decades later. Children carried handfuls of cents into candy stores. Workers received pennies constantly in change. Families tossed them into jars without a second thought. Because of that intense circulation, surviving pieces with honest wear and untouched originality became increasingly difficult to locate. Most people accidentally destroyed the very qualities collectors now desperately want preserved. And then there's the toning. Serious collectors love naturally aged copper because every coin develops unique color patterns over time. Some 1956D pennies turned deep chocolate brown, while others developed reddish highlights mixed with darker antique surfaces. Tiny spots, uneven aging, and subtle texture variations often become signs of originality rather than flaws. Beginners usually misunderstand this completely and try cleaning away the evidence collectors actually want. That mistake has cost people fortunes. Original toning creates trust, and trust drives bidding power. A naturally aged wheat penny feels alive to experienced collectors in a way polished coins never can. Professional grading becomes absolutely critical with a coin like this because authentication changes everything. Once respected grading companies verify originality, condition, and surface preservation, collector confidence rises dramatically. Without grading, buyers worry about cleaning, altered surfaces, environmental damage, or counterfeit modifications. But a professionally certified 1956D wheat penny instantly becomes more desirable because collectors trust the evaluation. That trust opens doors to stronger auctions, more competitive bidding, and higher long-term market interest. This is why serious collectors constantly repeat the same advice: never rush, never clean, and always protect originality. The market value attached to exceptional examples of this coin has shocked ordinary people who thought wheat pennies were worthless. Some surviving pieces have reached astonishing auction numbers because demand keeps rising while truly attractive examples become harder to secure. Imagine discovering that the worn penny sitting forgotten inside a kitchen drawer was actually carrying hidden wealth all along. Imagine realizing you accidentally spent coins like this years ago without ever checking the date or mint mark carefully. That painful possibility keeps collectors searching endlessly through rolls, jars, and old family collections every single day. If you think you found one, the first thing to check is the mint mark placement and surface condition. Study the color carefully under soft lighting. Look for natural aging instead of artificial shine. Examine the wheat stalks on the reverse for remaining detail and pay attention to rim strength and lettering visibility. Sashi. Most importantly, resist the urge to improve the coin by cleaning it. Patience creates wealth in this hobby. Many collectors lose serious money because they panic, clean coins incorrectly, or sell too fast without professional evaluation. The people who succeed are usually the ones who stay calm, and protect originality. There's also something psychological happening with wheat pennies that makes them different from many other collectibles. People remember them emotionally. Grandparents saved them. Parents passed them down. Kids discovered them in old coffee cans and inherited boxes. That emotional nostalgia creates stronger, long-term collector demand because buyers are not just purchasing metal, they are reconnecting with memories, history, and personal identity. And among those nostalgic collectors, the 1956D has quietly developed a reputation as one of those coins people regret ignoring when prices rise later. That regret fuels even more demand. Most people miss this next part completely. Tiny strike differences on 1956D pennies can dramatically influence collector excitement. Some coins show sharper lettering, stronger wheat lines, and better defined Lincoln portraits because certain dies remained fresher during production. Others display softer details from heavy die fatigue caused by non-stop minting pressure at Denver. Advanced collectors compare these differences obsessively under magnification because subtle strike quality can separate ordinary pieces from highly desirable ones. To outsiders, it sounds insane. To collectors, it's treasure hunting at the microscopic level. And while millions of Americans continue spending old pennies carelessly every year, experienced collectors keep searching because they understand one terrifying truth. The supply of untouched original wheat pennies is shrinking constantly. Every cleaned coin, damaged coin, or discarded coin reduces the surviving population forever. That means naturally preserved examples become more important with time, not less. Hidden treasure slowly becomes harder to find, while demand quietly keeps growing behind the scenes. That's why some collectors refuse to sell their best wheat pennies no matter how high offers climb. Do not spend this coin if you find one. Protect it immediately. Hold it by the edges only. Store it safely. And before making any decisions, consider professional grading because one overlooked detail could completely transform its future value. This is not fiction. Stories like this happen constantly inside the coin market while ordinary people remain unaware. Hidden fortunes continue slipping through circulation every single day because nobody bothers checking carefully enough. But what comes next on this list is even more shocking. The next wheat penny carries a reputation so powerful that some collectors literally stop talking when it appears at auction. One tiny feature turned that coin into a dangerous collector obsession, and the people unknowingly spending it today may have no idea they're throwing away a small fortune. Next up, the 1943D Lincoln steel penny might be one of the strangest and most dangerous coins people still accidentally spend today because it does not even look real at first glance. Most people see the silver color, assume it's fake, damaged, or worthless, then throw it into junk drawers or spend it without hesitation. That mistake has quietly destroyed hidden fortunes for decades. And what makes this story even crazier is that this coin was born during one of the darkest and most intense periods in American history. This is not fiction. A tiny steel penny from 1943 has become one of the most emotionally hunted treasures in the entire wheat penny world. The year 1943 changed everything for American coinage. World War II was consuming enormous amounts of copper for military equipment, ammunition, communication systems, and wartime manufacturing. The United States government suddenly faced a serious problem. They needed to conserve copper urgently. So the U.S. Mint made a radical decision that shocked the public at the time. Instead of producing pennies from the normal bronze mixture, they switched temporarily to zinc-coated steel. Overnight, the famous copper wheat penny transformed into a strange silver-colored coin unlike anything Americans had ever seen before. And that single wartime decision created one of the most iconic collector obsessions in U.S. coin history. The 1943D steel penny came from the Denver Mint, marked by the tiny D beneath the date. That small mint mark may look insignificant to ordinary people, but collectors study it obsessively because Denver struck steel cents developed their own unique strike characteristics, surface textures, and preservation issues over time. Many were heavily circulated during the war because Americans desperately needed coins for everyday commerce. Stores, factories, train stations, restaurants, these pennies moved constantly through the hands of a nation under wartime pressure. Very few people thought about saving them carefully back then. That's why survival today feels almost unbelievable. Steel is far less forgiving than bronze when exposed to moisture, humidity, fingerprints, or poor storage conditions. Unlike traditional copper-wheat pennies that darken naturally over time, the zinc-coated steel surfaces on these coins often corroded, rusted, spotted, or deteriorated badly after years of circulation. Many surviving examples became ugly, damaged, or chemically altered. So when collectors discover a 1943D steel penny in very fine condition, with strong details and original surfaces still intact, emotions explode instantly. Because now, they are not just looking at a coin, they are looking at surviving wartime history. And the appearance of this coin creates immediate curiosity, unlike almost any other wheat penny. The silver-gray surface looks cold, industrial, and almost ghost-like compared to normal copper cents. Some people mistake it for a foreign coin. Others think it's a token. But experienced collectors know exactly what they're seeing the moment light reflects off that steel surface. They immediately begin searching for signs of originality, authentic zinc coating, natural aging, and surface preservation. One tiny detail can change everything with these coins. When you hold the 1943D steel penny in your hand, it feels completely different from the earlier bronze wheat pennies people grew up using. The coin weighs approximately 2.7 grams because steel replaced the heavier copper alloy normally used for Lincoln cents. The diameter still measures around 19 millimeters, and the thickness remains close to 1.5 millimeters, but the overall feeling is unique. There's a colder sensation to the metal. The edges feel sharper. The surface reflects light differently. Even the sound it makes when dropped onto a table feels strange compared to traditional pennies. That unusual physical identity became part of the coin's legendary reputation. Now look closely at the obverse side. Abraham Lincoln's portrait still faces right, carrying the familiar, calm expression Americans recognized instantly during the war years. Across the top appears, "In God We Trust," while liberty sits beside Lincoln's profile. The date 1943 appears clearly near the lower edge, with the tiny Denver Mint mark beneath it. But collectors don't simply admire the design casually. They examine strike sharpness around Lincoln's cheek, jawline, coat details, and lettering. Because wartime minting pressure created variations in quality, tiny differences in strike strength can dramatically affect collector demand today. Then comes the reverse side. The famous wheat penny design Americans had already known for decades. Two wheat stalks frame the words 1 cent and United States of America, while E pluribus unum curves above. But on steel cents, this reverse design takes on a completely different personality. The silver-gray metal creates shadows and reflections that make the wheat lines appear sharper and more dramatic under certain lighting conditions. In very fine condition, collectors want strong, visible wheat details combined with authentic aging patterns. This detail changes everything because surface preservation is incredibly difficult with steel cents. And that difficulty is exactly why collectors become emotionally obsessed with original examples. Most surviving 1943 steel pennies suffered damage over time because people stored them carelessly in humid environments, old containers, or loose jars where moisture attacked the metal slowly. Rust became a massive problem. Surface bubbling, discoloration, corrosion, and zinc deterioration destroyed countless examples forever. Others were cleaned aggressively by owners trying to remove stains or dark spots, which only made things worse. That's why untouched surfaces matter so much today. A naturally preserved steel penny with honest wear and authentic wartime character feels almost miraculous to experienced collectors. Never clean this coin. That warning is absolutely critical. Cleaning steel cents is one of the fastest ways to destroy collector value because the zinc coating is delicate and easily damaged. The second someone scrubs the surface, the coin can lose its original texture permanently. Harsh chemicals may create unnatural brightness or expose darker steel underneath, ruining the authentic wartime appearance collectors desperately want preserved. Professional graders can usually detect clean surfaces immediately, and once originality disappears, serious buyers often lose interest fast. Original toning matters. Original texture matters. Original surfaces create trust. And in trust is everything in the collector market. Auction rooms become incredibly tense when strong 1943D steel pennies appear publicly because experienced buyers know how difficult truly attractive examples are to locate now. Some collectors stay silent for months searching privately, then suddenly compete aggressively once a properly preserved piece enters the market. Others refuse to sell their best examples entirely because they believe supply will continue shrinking as damaged coins disappear permanently over time. This is hidden wealth psychology happening quietly behind the scenes, while ordinary people still toss steel pennies into junk bins without checking carefully. What makes this even more emotional is the historical connection attached to every 1943 steel cent. These coins circulated while American soldiers fought overseas, factories operated non-stop, and families lived under wartime uncertainty. Every scratch, worn edge, and faded surface potentially connects back to one of the most intense chapters in American history. Collectors are not just buying metal. They are holding physical evidence of sacrifice, economic pressure, and national survival compressed into a tiny 1-cent coin. That emotional connection creates collector demand that continues growing year after year. Most people miss another important detail entirely. The Denver Mint faced enormous production stress during 1943 because steel behaved differently than copper during the striking process. Dies wore differently. Surface imperfections appeared more easily. Zinc coatings reacted unpredictably. Some coins emerged with weak details, while others displayed stronger, sharper strikes. Advanced collectors study these differences obsessively because strike quality plays a huge role in long-term desirability. Tiny lettering sharpness, rim strength, and wheat detail separation can influence bidding dramatically during major auctions. And here's where the hidden treasure aspect becomes almost unbelievable. Some people still discover 1943 steel pennies mixed inside inherited coin collections, old cigar boxes, or forgotten bank rolls without understanding what they're holding. Others accidentally spend them because they assume the silver appearance means the coin is fake or damaged. That painful misunderstanding continues today. Imagine losing a coin connected to serious money simply because it looked unusual. Imagine discovering years later that the strange gray penny you ignored was actually a silent fortune collectors were desperately hunting. Professional grading becomes absolutely essential with steel cents because authentication and surface evaluation change everything. Grading experts inspect for corrosion, replating, artificial cleaning, environmental damage, and originality. They determine whether the surfaces remain authentic to the coin's wartime production and aging process. Once certified by a respected grading service, collector confidence rises dramatically. Buyers trust the coin more. Auctions become stronger. Demand intensifies. This is why advanced collectors constantly repeat the same advice: protect the surfaces and never attempt restoration yourself. The market surrounding 1943D steel pennies has become increasingly emotional because surviving attractive examples are disappearing slowly into permanent collections. Wealthy collectors often buy and hold them long-term rather than resell quickly. That behavior quietly reduces available supply while public fascination keeps growing. People love wartime history. They love unusual coins. And they love the idea that hidden treasure might still exist in circulation. The steel penny combines all three obsessions into one unforgettable coin. And yes, certain examples in very fine condition have reached astonishing auction numbers that completely shock ordinary people. We are talking about the kind of serious money capable of changing someone's financial future forever. That possibility keeps collectors searching endlessly through old jars, inherited collections, estate sales, flea markets, and coin rolls, hoping to discover another overlooked survivor. Hidden wealth continues slipping through people's fingers every day because most individuals never stop long enough to inspect their pennies carefully. If you think you've found one, the first thing to check is the date and mint mark. Make sure the coin is magnetic because genuine 1943 steel cents stick to magnets due to the steel composition. Then examine the surfaces carefully under soft light. Look for original aging instead of unnatural brightness. Check for corrosion spots, bubbling, or signs of harsh cleaning. Pay close attention to the wheat lines and Lincoln's portrait detail because stronger preserved features increase collector interest dramatically. And above all else, handle the coin carefully by the edges only. Patience creates wealth in this hobby. Many people panic, clean coins incorrectly, or sell too quickly before understanding what they truly possess. The smartest collectors move slowly, protect originality, and seek professional grading before making major decisions. That patience separates ordinary pocket change from life-changing opportunity. Most people never realize how close hidden treasure can actually be. Do not spend this coin if you find one. Protect it immediately, because the next coin on this list is even more shocking. A wheat penny surrounded by rumors, collector fear, and auction chaos so intense that some buyers become completely obsessed once they see a real example in person. And the terrifying part? People are still unknowingly losing it every single day.